There exists a phenomenon that most people choose not to discuss. Shadow people. Now, there are many within the scientific community who have spent a lot of time and money in the research of the paranormal, in an effort to collect evidence as support of the existence of spirits and interdimensional beings. If you cannot rely upon an eyewitness, audio recording, and camera footage, what more can a person do to prove the existence of such a being? This is a problem, and I'm going to tell you why. Man has a bad habit of trying to control everything and everyone around him, and it is only a matter of time before some madman tries to go out and catch one of these entities. What am I talking about? Ghostbusters have been around for centuries. Look at all the tales of the jinn and how human beings were able to capture and imprison them inside small artifacts. Demons are probably the most evil and most feared of all known beings, yet the exorcist is able to speak words to fight the creature off. And we are supposed to be afraid of them? Is that how this works? The beings that hide from us, the creatures that do not want to be seen, the interdimensional punks that like to pick on children because they're easy targets. We are supposed to fear them? Why? Way more people have died by the hand of another person than any freaking ghost. Hell, throughout history, people have killed themselves more efficiently than any of these other beings combined. You don't hear any news reports of people getting shot by Bigfoot or being blown to bits in mass numbers by some ghost. Despite this fact, we are going to examine something that has plagued many people for quite some time. This is sleep paralysis, shadow people, and the infamous Hat Man. Many of you may be familiar with a common phenomenon known as sleep paralysis. This is the temporary inability to move or speak when either falling asleep or waking up. This is often accompanied by hallucinations or visions of dark, shadow-like entities that elicit a feeling of terror and helplessness. These entities appear in several forms: a dwarf, an imp, a witch, such as a night hag or old hag, creatures from folklore that are said to ride the chest of their victims, causing paralysis and difficulty breathing. These episodes normally last a few seconds to a few minutes. However, there are some cases where this can go on for an hour or so. Now, I have personally experienced sleep paralysis many times in my life. From what I can recall, this only happens while sleeping on my back. In fact, my most vivid, most lucid dreams have occurred while lying on my back. I understand that going to sleep after eating contributes to the vivid dreams. However, this does not always result in sleep paralysis. Now, many people don't know this, but cleansing, particularly energetic cleansing, will often result in nightmares, due to the fact that the mind is trying to cleanse itself of toxic energy. In my case, sleep paralysis only lasts for a few seconds. It feels as though I am waking up, but I am in fact still asleep. Also, the room that I am visualizing appears very dark and reddish orange, contrasting the ominous, shadowy figure standing by my bed. I can't move, I can't scream. The figure approaches me, but it never gets the chance to do anything because the sleep paralysis is abruptly interrupted by me attempting to shout out God's name. And I usually wake up in a cold sweat screaming God's name out loud. This occurs sporadically, and as far as I can tell, I can only conclude that this is somehow manifested within my own mind. It's hard to tell if I'm attracting the phenomenon or creating it. What's interesting about this is that calling God's name is actually the only known method that works for ending sleep paralysis once you're caught in it. I am sure there exist other methods, but in some cases, this has even worked for people who don't believe in God. Many people will argue that these are just nightmares or hallucinations, but does it not seem odd that thousands of people would hallucinate the same thing? Another theory is that people are seeing these entities during sleep paralysis because they are actually there, which may be the reason why so many people are also seeing this being when they are awake. The shadow people are probably exactly what you think they are: evil spirits or demons. They most often appear to children. They normally come in the form of a male, human-like figure, often with elongated limbs and fingers, just like a shadow. Some have red glowing eyes, some do not. Some speak, some do not. Sometimes there is only one figure, and sometimes there are many. Sometimes they appear in the form of a cat, and some report seeing other animal forms as well. These entities can get physical with people, but they will often just leave people alone and run away. As in most cases, these beings do not like to be seen. And it seems as though that sometimes these shadow beings don't know that people can see them. Witnesses see these things mostly at night in their homes, usually in one's bedroom. But they have been spotted during the day and in locations outside the home, even on the street. Also, strangely enough, shadow people have been spotted in areas where UFOs have been sighted, or at a location where something bad has happened or is going to happen. Now, I've never encountered anything like this while being awake. Maybe because of awareness, or maybe because I'm not afraid of them, as they tend to feed off of fear. Honestly, folks, what's more frightening? A cowardly shadow person lurking in a dark corner of a room? Or a human intruder breaking into your home and robbing you at gunpoint? I guess the element of the unknown is what's truly scary about this whole phenomenon. It does seem as though these shadow people, to a certain degree, follow certain guidelines or rules when it comes to interacting with humans. Or maybe these are restraints. It looks like they enjoy scaring people so that they can feed off of the person's fear and move on. And many times they seem to be there just to observe. But there is an entity that is similar to the shadow people that does not seem to play by the same rules. In fact, this shadow from hell gives the impression that it doesn't give a shit about any of that. Shadow people is one thing, folks, but if you ever see the Hat Man, run. I mean, this guy gives no fucks, and the only being that I can think of that is more sinister than the Hat Man is the devil himself. The Hat Man is very talkative and loves to threaten people's lives. With that said, he often shows up prior to someone kicking the bucket. He is often described as being a very large shadow figure, standing over 7 feet tall, with what looks like a fedora on his head. Yes, a gangster ghost. Sometimes it's a derby, sometimes it's a top hat, and sometimes it's a monk's cowl and cape, something like the Grim Reaper would wear. Unlike the Shadow People, the Hat Man tends to haunt people on and off for sometimes the duration of that person's life. There is the story of a family that would witness the Hat Man walking up their driveway to their house every morning around 3 a.m., known as the witching hour. The family, of course, moved after getting tired of seeing this being walk up to their driveway every morning. There are cases where people have grown accustomed to the Hat Man's presence and actually miss him when he's gone. I guess they can't end their day right until they've been sufficiently harassed by the Hat Man. As strange as that sounds, this is how some people are, folks. Now, these shadow beings could be interdimensional beings, time travelers. They could be evil spirits, demons, even alien beings such as the archons. Or maybe they are just figments of the collective imagination. In any case, the scientific community continues to struggle proving that these are real beings, and perhaps never will prove their existence. At the end of the day, understand that we are very powerful beings. So powerful that other beings have to hide from us. Your mind controls more than what you think it does. These other beings that are out there may not be in subjection to us, but they certainly are in subjection to the Supreme Being. I know that some people don't believe in God, but if you cannot rely on Him to help protect you from these demonic ghost-like entities, then who are you gonna call?